Hey everyone, this is Christopher Beaudry, and today I'm going to be talking about Thomas Hobbes and the Galactic Empire in the first episode of my new series, which I'm planning on calling Nerd Culture in Philosophy. Whether you're coming here to understand Hobbes better through this analogy, or you're just a major Star Wars fan and you want to hear an interesting extrapolation from the Star Wars universe, I hope you enjoy this video. So Thomas Hobbes was an English political philosopher who wrote his most famous work, Leviathan, which was published in 1668. And in Leviathan, Hobbes outlines how he believes governments are formed and what makes the best form of government in order to ensure both protection and happiness. Now, Hobbes first talks about what he refers to as a state of nature. And the state of nature is a world without any government, or if a government collapses and there is no government. And what the state of nature is every man for themselves. A way to kind of think about it is The Walking Dead, but no zombies. So it's just everyone trying to survive for themselves, and all they have to protect themselves, their property, and their loved ones is their own whatever, and whoever they choose to align themselves with. That's a state of nature. And it's a very dangerous place. Hobbes says on the state of nature that in the state of nature, men are living in continual fear and danger of violent death, and the life of a man solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. And how men get out of the state of nature, Hobbes talks about, is by forming compacts with each other. And establishing laws in order to protect each other in mutual interest. And what that means is, what that social contract does is it takes liberties away from the individual. So for instance, in a state of nature, if I want to do anything, I can do anything as long as no one stops me. But in a social contract, even in its most basic form, I can't, kill anybody, rape anybody, steal anything, because there's laws established to stop people from doing those things. And that's how Hobbes says governments are formed. You give up certain liberties for safety and happiness. We do this today, obviously, with our basic laws, and we keep adding new ones as time goes on. When cars were invented and put into mass production and mass use, we said, hey, these things are pretty dangerous. So how about we give up our liberty of driving really fast? That way to ensure that everyone's safe on the roads, hence speed limits and tickets for speeding and driving unsafe. So that's a way that a social contract and laws, we give up our liberty in order for collective safety. But Hobbes says that that's not enough. Hobbes was writing the time of the English Civil War, where there were the separatists who sided with the English Parliament, and there were the royalists who sided with the crown, the monarchy of England. And what the Parliament faction wanted to do was to limit the monarch's power. They said the monarch is too powerful, and that you need to limit his power. Among those Parliament-sided people was the famous political philosopher and a contemporary of Hobbes, John Locke. And Locke said that he agreed with the state of nature for the most part, and he said that we need a constitutional government which limits state authority. And Hobbes looked at it differently, though. Hobbes thought that the problem is how the Civil War broke out is that the monarchy wasn't powerful enough. And he doesn't necessarily support monarchies, but he supports whatever form of government is strong enough to avoid war, avoid disagreements, and just have a 100% peaceful society, peace through force. And Hobbes established what is referred to as an authoritarian society, where the government, whatever form it takes, is in control of everything. And in Hobbes's when he originally published the Leviathan, the cover depicts a man in chainmail. And if you look closely, that chainmail is made out of people. And those are the people within the social contract who agree to be part of that contract. and you can see he's wearing a crown because that big guy right there represents the government. And you can see how in his right hand he's holding a sword, in his left he's holding a religious staff. And then if you look down at the bottom, you can see on the right side, or if you're looking at it on the left, military things on the left, and then on the right side, religious things. So the church is the castle, the pope is the king, the cannon is the lightning, the symbolic wrath of God, and the soldiers are like priests. If you're a soldier for this authoritarian rule, you're a soldier of God, and you're a soldier of justice. And Hobbes says that, talks about it and says, by his power, meaning the power of an enforcer, authority given to him by every particular man in the commonwealth, he hath the use of so much power and strength conferred on him, that by terror thereof he is enabled to conform the wills of them all, peace at home and mutual aid against their enemies abroad. So Hobbes thinks that a government should be extremely, extremely powerful in every aspect of life, military, religion, whatever. And in doing so, people are safe because there's no war, there's no disagreement, there's just the hammer of the government, which will come down on anyone who's causing any trouble. And he says a key out of this government is that it provides a visible power to keep them in awe and tie them by fear of punishment. So that brings us to Leviathan and the Galactic Empire. Hobbes named his book Leviathan because in the Bible, Leviathan is a sea creature of vast power, which no one wants to mess with, because if you fight the Leviathan, you're not going to win. And that's how Hobbes thought government should be. Government should be so powerful that you don't stand a chance of fighting it, so you need to follow its rules. Which might sound familiar to the Galactic Empire in Star Wars. The Galactic Empire in Star Wars is Palpatine's vision of an authoritarian society, or Darth Sidious, of an authoritarian society with a centralized government that is extremely powerful in all aspects of life, and that is so powerful that no one wants to fight it. Now, Hobbes talks about a visible power to keep them in awe. What is that visible power to keep them in awe? Take a guess, people. It's Darth freaking Vader. Darth Vader is that visible power to keep people in awe. If you mess with him, he's going to show up at, he's going to break down your door and pull out his lightsaber. He's the boogeyman for the Galactic Empire. He kills rebel scum if they're misbehaving and they go against the government. And he hunts down Jedi, the other religious faction that's contrary to the established religious faction, which is the dark side. And he hunts down all the Jedi who survived Order 66 and executes them, or attempts to do so anyway. He obviously never finds Yoda, Obi-Wan, and a few other Jedi, but that's what he attempts to do. And in addition to Vader, the Iron Fist of the Galactic Empire is their massive Star Destroyer fleet and their massive garrisons of stormtroopers. Even though they can't hit anything, it's still a formidable force. I wouldn't want to fight an army of stormtroopers. We saw in Rogue One how they occupied that city there, and I wouldn't want them in my city, even though they can't hit anything. It's just a force, and they always have Darth Vader behind them if you're fighting them. But that's not enough for Sidious, because there's still factions who are bold enough to fight against the Imperial fleet and Darth Vader, and that's the rebel force. So Sidious wants a complete hammer, something that is so powerful that no one is going to dare go against the central government. And Sidious believes that in doing so, he's creating peace. He says, like, in Revenge of the Sith, he's like, "We will have peace, Anakin," or Vader at that point. And that's the Death Star. That's what he wants for the Death Star. And if we look at it from a counterfactual or a different storyline, had Vader killed everyone, A New Hope, on who is in the Death Star, he kills Luke, he kills Obi-Wan, Han Solo, all those people, and he kills R2, finds the plans, and he buttons up that little hole in the Death Star so that no one can no one can destroy it. I think I think Sidious would have been successful. I think at that point, no one would want to fight the Empire anymore, and the Rebel Alliance would really fade away because it's just too powerful. It's such a large Leviathan monster that you can't fight it. And you can tell from their conversations that Vader really believes that what they're doing brings peace to the Empire. Anakin tells Obi-Wan, "I have brought peace, freedom, security, and justice to my new empire." And what the authoritarian does is basically, if you're not with the authoritarian government, you're against them. And Vader, pre-suit on the Battle of Mustafar, tells Obi-Wan Kenobi, his old master, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. And then, they ignite their lightsabers and have that super epic lightsaber duel over Padme's body and a river of lava. And I don't know why people trash on the prequels, because they're freaking awesome. It's like a Greek tragedy with laser swords and Natalie Portman. So if you don't like the prequels, watch them again, because they're awesome. But anyway, I digress. And some people, even if they don't know the context of Hobbes in relation to the Galactic Empire, some people on YouTube and on the internet have talked about theories that Palpatine or Darth Sidious is actually a good guy because he brings peace to the galaxy, which before Palpatine, the Galactic Empire was at war. There was the Clone Wars, and then before that there were disagreements among in the Galactic Republic. So, and also, it's not canon anymore, but in Legends, there was another, outside the Republic, there was these aliens that were going to come and invade the Republic, and Palpatine knew of them, and he wanted the Empire to fight those people. Because as Hobbes says, when the government's not divided, it makes them stronger against foreign enemies to defend themselves. So had Vader killed everyone and secured the Death Star, it really would have been a peaceful galaxy as long as you don't cross the Galactic Empire, because they'd be pretty much safe from invaders, and there wouldn't be war. So please comment, let me know. Do you think it's a good analogy or not? Do you think authoritarian governments are okay in relation to this conversation? Do you think the galaxy is better under a ruler like Darth Sidious in the Death Star, where everyone's safe as long as you don't, mess with the Empire and then your planet might be blown up? Or do you think it's better to have a freer, more constitutional type of Senate, public, for the galaxy, whether in our context or in that fictional context, even though there might be war and disagreements and unrest? So please, thank you for watching. Check out my next nerd culture and philosophy videos. I'll be doing some more Star Wars ones, maybe some Game of Thrones ones, and things like
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.